you would this evening turn once again to the book of 1 Corinthians. We'll be looking at 1 Corinthians chapter 12, the first 13 verses. This seems to be another of those topics that began in chapter 7, where Paul writes, "Now about those things you wrote about." In other words, the church was asking some questions to Paul and inquiring about different topics. And this topic really introduces a 3-chapter section that will focus particularly on spiritual gifts and worship in the assembly of God's people. It appears to be that in Corinth there was all kinds of interesting things going on in worship, and it was somewhat not only perhaps destructive, but also getting people away from the main thing that they were supposed to be doing in worshiping the Lord. And so he addresses this topic beginning with chapter 12, verse 1. "Now concerning spiritual gifts, brothers, I do not want you to be uninformed. You know that when you were pagans, you were led astray to mute idols, however you were led. Therefore, I want you to understand that no one speaking in the Spirit of God ever says, 'Jesus is accursed,' and no one can say, 'Jesus is Lord,' except in the Holy Spirit. Now, there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of service, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but it is the same God who empowers them all in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. For to one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit.